Here we are, Paula, Clark, and Barbara in the Lodestar Gardens greenhouse, and we are going to talk this time about soil. We had a tour yesterday of about 5 or 6 families who are new to the area, and one of the primary questions that they had was, what do we do with our soil? What kind of soil do we have here? What do I do for my soil? So we can only speak for our little spot here in the northeast Arizona area, where we've been experiencing drought for some years, the absence of monsoons, depleted soil by nature. We have to build our soil all over the state, all over the Southwest. Nothing unique there. But what I'd like to share, what we would like to share, are different aspects and stories about our soil here. And I'll start out by talking about what we actually use to amend our soil. Every time we harvest a plant or a crop, we need to replenish the soil. And we use, we actually build our soil out of 3 things. There's sand and our own soil from other parts of the property, and then a very important component is goat manure. And we have 21 goats that help us provide that particular component. Once we have built our soil, aerated our soil, we are going to put in bone meal for phosphorus, eggshells for calcium, azomite for trace minerals, green sand for iron, and borax for boron. And those are minerals that get depleted. Clark will talk about the soil test. Paula will talk about another natural amendment. But those are things that we replace on a routine basis inside the greenhouse and the high tunnel, as well as outside in the outside gardens. So can you talk about that natural approach?
I live about a mile from here, but I'm up on a plateau at about 6,700 feet. So my wind is very, very brisk, to say the least. And when you sit on my porch and the wind is coming through at 40 miles an hour, my yard is blowing away. But I have cedar trees, and when the wind blows the dirt, which is mainly sand and lava debris, it blows my sand away. Those trees capture that dirt, and it falls down around the tree, and it mixes with all the organic matter from 100 years of cedar growth. What I do is I take my wheelbarrow out there and I go get my dirt back. I take it out, I go and I shovel out from around the base of the cedar trees, so I'm getting all that sand that I'm reclaiming. I'm getting all those IMOs, which are indigenous microorganisms, and they're coming in that fluffy duff from under the cedar tree. I take them to my containerized garden, I mix them with my manure and my compost, and that's how I'm building my soil. One advantage of the IMOs is that they are teaching my domesticated plants like tomatoes, peppers, the brassicas, all of those. It's teaching my plants that they're going to live in the desert now. And so it helps to enhance the vitality. A lot of times there's more life under the ground than there is above it. So I'm going out there and getting it and bringing it back to my house.
And you use container gardening too.
Yes, I do have a container gardening, I have a zuni gardening, I have flat gardening. If there's open ground, I stick something in it.
So you treat your pots and your planters the same way you do your outside soil.
They're all well, they're actually all, each pot is a different little microsystem. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to grow a brassicas like a cabbage or a cauliflower, I'm going to work my dirt one way, which is different than if I was going to put a tomato or a potato in it. Right. So I have lots of little tiny ecosystems to work with.
And
so the questions we had were from people who are new to the area and new to homesteading. If you're coming into a new operation, whether it's virgin soil that's never been worked or just soil that you're not familiar with, one of the first things you can do is a water test. Fill a jar with about a third of the way with soil, fill it with water, shake it up really good, let it sit for a day. And when it settles, it'll settle in the different layers. The bottom will be sand, middle layer will be clay, or in our case silt, and the top is going to be the organic matter. The organic matter is probably the most important component, and that will tell you how much compost or cover crop or manure, any kind of organic matter that you can put in to help loosen and aerate the soil. Once you have an idea of your soil composition, it's a really good idea to get a soil test. There are scads of labs out there that can do that for you. Two of the basic tests, there's an overall nutrient level in the soil, and the second one is the soluble, the nutrients that are bioavailable to the plants. They're not really expensive. The lab we used was at that time was $25 a test, and it came back with the levels, what was available, and what we would need to amend that soil for a good crop. And it's good to know if you're coming into an operation that has already been in use, beds that are developed, if you know whether they were organic or chemical, and hopefully you will be wanting to grow organically. And you should look for a lab that also can handle a transitionary period, going from chemical to organic. It takes about 3 years. Look in Acres Magazine, look online, and do a little research, and you'll find a lab that will work for you.
And probably one of your best resources is to find a grower near you, the farmer or the grower, the rancher, who is closest to your particular property. There's no guarantees. Microclimates vary, especially in the White Mountains, radically from one acreage to another in some cases. So that is your tried and true, your experienced grower, and most of us are real happy to share what we've learned because we want greater food security on this mountain. We want more self-sufficiency and with our neighbors. You're only as strong as your weakest battery. That's what the solar people say. Well, you're only as strong as your weakest or uneducated citizen in a village or a township too. So we want to help each other. One way we can do that is to educate people about homesteading and self-reliant living. We are going to have a Homesteading Apprenticeship Program starting in March this spring. Deadline for applications is March 10th now. 2001. This is happening.
21.
Whoa! Okay, cut.
Sorry, I took a nap.
2001.
Rip Van Winkle over here.
Well, quit leaving it out.
Okay, so get in touch with us. This starts in spring, March 21st to 22nd, 2021, this year. And we're very excited to share what we've learned over 21 years of trial and error here at Lodestar. We would also like people who, this isn't a camp, this isn't short term, this is a year-long relationship building experience with other people in your team, other homesteaders, with the land, with plants, as well as being self-sufficient in terms of learning about our water, our irrigation, our shelters, our managing resources, energy. It takes time to do that, so we would like you to see the beginning, the middle, and an end to a whole entire season. We'll feed you well, we'll house you well, and we'll teach you well. The time is now to learn how to homestead, so give us a call. The information on the screen below.